In the early 1600s, Europe was a land of turmoil and limited opportunities. Religious conflicts, political unrest, and economic hardships plagued the continent. Many sought escape, dreaming of a better life across the vast Atlantic Ocean. Stories of a new world filled with fertile land, untapped resources, and freedom spread like wildfire. For some, like the Pilgrims, it was a chance to practice their faith without persecution. For others, it was the promise of wealth and land ownership, something unattainable in their homelands. Merchants and adventurers spoke of gold, timber, and furs waiting to be claimed. The idea of starting anew, free from the rigid class systems of Europe, was irresistible. Ships began to set sail, braving treacherous waters. The journey was perilous. Storms, disease, and cramped conditions claimed many lives. Yet, the hope of a fresh beginning kept them going. When they finally reached the shores of what would become the United States, they were met with both wonder and hardship. The land was vast and wild, but it was theirs to shape. The Europeans brought with them their cultures, traditions, and ambitions. They built settlements, forged alliances, and clashed with indigenous peoples. Despite the challenges, they persevered, driven by the belief that this new land held the key to a brighter future. Little did they know, their arrival would forever change the course of history, setting the stage for a nation built on dreams, struggles, and the relentless pursuit of opportunity. The early years in the New World were far from the paradise the Europeans had imagined. The settlers faced harsh winters, unfamiliar terrain, and a lack of essential supplies. Many were unprepared for the challenges of building a life from scratch. Starvation and disease were constant threats, and the initial optimism began to wane. Relations with the Native Americans were complex. Some tribes, like the Wampanoag, initially offered assistance, teaching the settlers how to cultivate crops like corn and squash. Without this knowledge, the Pilgrims might not have survived their first winter. However, tensions soon arose over land and resources. Misunderstandings and cultural differences led to conflicts, and the fragile peace began to crumble. Despite these hardships, more Europeans continued to arrive. The promise of land ownership and economic opportunity was too compelling to ignore. Colonies like Jamestown and Plymouth grew, fueled by the labor of indentured servants and later enslaved Africans. The settlers cleared forests, planted crops, and established trade networks, slowly transforming the wilderness into thriving communities. Religious freedom remained a driving force for many. Groups like the Puritans established colonies where they could practice their faith without interference. Yet, even within these communities, dissent and disagreement often led to further migrations and the founding of new settlements. The struggle for survival shaped the settlers' resilience and determination. They adapted to their new environment, learning from their mistakes and forging a path forward. The New World was no longer just a distant dream. It was becoming a reality, one built on sacrifice, perseverance, and hope. By the 1700s, the European colonies in America had grown into a patchwork of thriving communities. The settlers had overcome immense challenges, and their hard work began to pay off. Farms flourished, towns expanded, and trade with Europe brought prosperity. Yet, the colonies were still tied to the distant British Crown, which imposed taxes and regulations that many colonists found oppressive. The idea of independence began to take root. Influenced by Enlightenment thinkers, colonists started to question the authority of a monarchy that seemed out of touch with their needs. Phrases like "no taxation without representation" became rallying cries, uniting people from different colonies under a common cause. Tensions escalated, leading to the American Revolution in 1775. The colonists, though outnumbered and outgunned, fought fiercely for their freedom. With the help of allies like France, they secured victory in 1783, and the United States of America was born. The European settlers who had come seeking opportunity, freedom, and a new life had now created a nation founded on those very principles. Their journey, from desperate refugees to proud revolutionaries, was a testament to the power of hope and determination. The legacy of their arrival, however, was complex. While they built a nation that would become a beacon of liberty, their actions also brought suffering to Native Americans and enslaved Africans. The story of why Europeans came to America is one of dreams and contradictions, a reminder that history is shaped by both triumph and tragedy.